An Orthodox Christian Critique of Hyperianism. 1. Introduction. What is Hyperianism? Hyperianism is a modern philosophical religious movement founded by MorgueOfficial, and associated thinkers. It proposes a system called ontological mathematics, teaching that reality is fundamentally mathematical and that individual minds are expressions of a collective absolute mind. It combines elements of Pythagoreanism, Neoplatonism, and idealism, rejecting both materialism and theism. Hyperianism claims that the traditional god of religion is a primitive anthropomorphism, and that true divinity lies within humanity as part of an evolving god-mind. Hyperianism's stated aim is to replace faith-based religions, especially Christianity, with reason-based spirituality. While it borrows terminology from Christian mysticism, Neoplatonism, and modern science, it reinterprets these ideas through a fundamentally non-theistic monism. From the standpoint of Orthodox Christian theology, Hyperianism represents a modern form of Gnosticism and rationalist idealism, incompatible with the revelation of the triune God and the incarnation of Christ. 2. Theological analysis. 1. Ontological mathematics and the Orthodox doctrine of creation. Hyperianism asserts that reality is an eternal, self-existing mathematical structure. Numbers, sine waves, and equations are said to be the true substance of existence. God, as a personal creator distinct from creation, is explicitly denied. Orthodox theology, however, affirms that being is contingent, not self-existent. Only God is self-existent, he who is, Exodus 3 verse 14. The created order comes into being ex nihilo, out of nothing, through the divine logos, John 1 verse 3, not from eternal mathematical necessity. Creation is rational and harmonious because it reflects the divine logos, not because it is ontologically identical to abstract mathematics. Thus, Hyperianism replaces the personal creator with an impersonal rational structure, confusing the rationality of creation with the rationality of God himself. This is a form of idolatry of the intellect, turning the reflection, the cosmos intelligibility, into the source. 2. The nature of God and the problem of personhood. Hyperianism denies the existence of a transcendent, personal God, viewing God as a collective totality of all minds, an impersonal absolute. The divine is simply the sum of all individual consciousnesses evolving toward self-realization. In contrast, Orthodox Christianity teaches that God is personal, trihypostatic, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. God's essence is beyond comprehension, but his energies, operations, are communicable to creation. Humans are made in the image and likeness of this personal God, not as fragments of a cosmic mind, but as free persons capable of communion. To reduce the divine to a mathematical unity of minds is to erase the distinction between creator and creature, collapsing ontology into monism. Orthodox theology insists that personhood precedes logic, for even divine rationality is the energy of the personal logos, not an autonomous mathematical law. 3. The Hyperian Christ and the Orthodox Christ. Hyperian writings often reinterpret Jesus as an enlightened human, a world teacher who realized his identity with the absolute mind, analogous to a Gnostic redeemer or philosophical exemplar. The resurrection is treated symbolically, as awakening to the divine intellect. Orthodox Christology rejects this as heresy. Christ is not a mere human who attained divine realization, but the eternal Son of God incarnate, true God and true man. Salvation is not self-realization but deification, theosis, through participation in divine grace. The resurrection is historical and ontological, the defeat of death, not a metaphor for enlightenment. Thus, Hyperianism substitutes psychological gnosis for soteriological grace. It offers intellectual assent rather than transformation by divine love. 4. Knowledge and revelation. Hyperianism claims that faith is ignorance and that only reason, mathematics and logic, can lead to truth. It equates religious revelation with superstition. Orthodox Christianity does not oppose faith to reason, but distinguishes faith, pistis, as trusting participation in divine revelation, which transcends but does not contradict reason. As St. Gregory Palamas wrote, quote, God is not known by the mind's reasoning, but by the heart's purification, end quote. Human reason is fallen, not infallible, it is healed through illumination by the Holy Spirit. Hyperianism's epistemology is therefore rationally reductionist. It confines truth to mathematical necessity and denies the mystical and sacramental dimensions of knowing God. 3. Philosophical refutation. Self-contradiction of ontological mathematics. If all is mathematics, what grounds mathematics itself? Numbers and logic are abstract relations that presuppose minds to interpret them. By denying the primacy of divine intellect and positing mathematics as self-existent, Hyperianism mistakes conceptual order for ontological substance. Category error of collective mind. The God-mind as sum of individual consciousnesses is incoherent. A collection of finite, contingent minds cannot yield an infinite, necessary one, just as adding finite numbers never results in infinity. The problem of evil and suffering. If all reality is an expression of a perfect mathematical mind, why does evil, disorder, and suffering exist? Hyperianism has no adequate theodicy. Orthodox Christianity, however, explains evil as privation of good due to misuse of creaturely freedom, not as an illusion in the cosmic equation. Loss of the human person. In the Hyperian system, individuality is ultimately dissolved into the totality. This is impersonal salvation, the annihilation of the person into abstract unity. Orthodox Christianity, conversely, exalts personhood. In union with God, the human person becomes fully himself, not absorbed into a collective essence. 4. The Orthodox alternative. Orthodoxy offers the very transcendence Hyperianism seeks, but grounded in divine love, not abstract mathematics. The world is rational because it is created by the Logos, John 1 verses 1-3. The human mind can know truth because it is illumined by uncreated light. Salvation is not realizing that we are God, but being united to God by grace. Theosis fulfills the desire behind Hyperianism for unity and knowledge, but in truth, not illusion. The intellect is not abolished but transfigured by communion with the living God, the personal source of all being, beauty, and reason. 5. Conclusion. Hyperianism revives the old Gnostic error, replacing the living God with the mind's reflection of itself. Its vision of a self-creating mathematical cosmos is a rationalistic echo of the serpent's temptation, "You shall be as gods," Genesis 3 verse 5, without dependence on the Creator. Orthodox Christianity responds not with irrational faith, but with the faith that illumines reason. "In thy light shall we see light." Psalm 36 verse 9. The true Logos is not an equation, but a person, Jesus Christ, through whom all things were made, and in whom alone the human mind finds its rest and fulfillment.